Today on Ostentatious, we're going to build this DIY boombox. To preface this video, I started building this boombox before I decided to record it. You know, I figured, hey, people are not wanting to run their batteries dead at shows and things like that. They might want a boombox. So this video, I thought I'd bring it all along and let you see how I did it. Maybe you want to try your hand at it. Who knows? There's a few things you're going to need for this. First of all, I actually bought my own box, prefabbed. Some regrets, some not regrets. If you use an M12 or DeWalt for your battery, you're going to have an adapter. Generic ones are cheap on Amazon. You're going to have some kind of strap to carry it with. I bought mine off of Amazon. It's a true fender. It was only like $9. I tried to save all the boxes through the build process, but the one for this PAL receiver didn't make it through. Make sure you do get a receiver that does have a built-in amplifier, because you don't have to be putting a separate amp in here. I got these PAL Marine speakers. They're 6.5 inch. They're allegedly waterproof. Who knows? And also got Parators, wherever. These came from Temu. And y'all, I swear to you, I had a Pioneer component set a few years back that had this exact look tweeter to it. And if y'all look around, you'll see like an Alpine DDT something model number. And this company has that too in Parators instead of having bootleg Alpine written on it. This company has a lot of stuff that looks like old Pioneer, so I'm thinking maybe they bought some of the patents or designs, so some of the old Pioneer stuff. Say hi to Nardo. That's my big cat. We just got him a couple months ago. And of course, with all this, you're going to need some wiring. You're going to need some crimp connectors or solder, depending on what you decide to do with it. Maybe some tape, heat shrink. You're definitely going to need a drill and a hole saw to mount the head unit. Whatever tools come along with the job. I'll show you some of them, but if you generally are comfortable with this thing, you get the gist of what you need. I went ahead and cut out some of the carpet. You want to do that before you actually use the hole saw on it, because it'll grab the carpet and rip all of it off if you don't. I may still have that problem, I don't know. But let's go ahead and cut a hole out of the side here. This is going to be for my head unit. Now, whatever size you want to use for a head unit, that's up to you. The hole's going to vary. So let's go ahead and cut this out. Now, I'm trying to get it centered up here. And make sure when you do this, you give room for your speakers in the back. I got plenty of room for mine because I got the ports on the outside here. Alright. See right there? I pulled that carpet loose. I'm going to have to figure some way to put that back on, but it's okay. Alright, and just like that, you got your hole cut out. Now I can drop down the receiver into here, and we'll do that next. Alright, this is a PAL Motorsports. Yeah, don't give me any slack over PAL, okay? This is the first one I've built, and I'm going to see if it works before I ever upgrade anything else. So, I'm going to take this. We've got a little spinner here. We're going to take this little spinner off the back. Hopefully it's got enough thread to go through here. Put everything loose here. And I'm going to take all these little ties off of this, and then I'll come back to you. Now I kind of took all these ties off here. I'm going to drop all the wiring down in there. Hopefully my cat doesn't carry off my cords. I'm going to stuff this all in here. Then I'll come in the front and grab all these cords. I want to make sure this edge faces the actual head unit as I put it on here. Just going to run it around here through all the wires. Now that I've got it run through the wires, I'm going to come up here behind it. Make sure this is oriented the way that I want it. About right there. And I'm just going to spin the back on. I get it started. And I got cats up here in the way, of course. It's okay. Y'all, by the way, I'm up to 4 cats now. Yay. Alright. Now, as you can see, this is a little bit off. The hole is a little bit big, so no big deal if you get a hole that's bigger than you wanted, which I did because I didn't want to pay $40 for a 3 1/4 inch hole saw, so I bought a kit with a 3 1/2 inch. But no big deal, you can just set it over. You can just readjust it right where it covers all the holes, the carpet, where I cut too much. And just like that, just have to vacuum it off a little bit and your head unit's installed. The next step after putting in the head unit is getting it wired up into the box to the battery and wiring it up to the speakers. So I'm going to actually use a few things here, pretty common. This makes some pretty good wire for everything. I want to use a knife to split this wire down the center. I'm going to use a crimper. I'm going to use a wire cutter. And yes, I'm going to use these blue ones. I know I complain about people using blue ones sometimes, but this wire is big enough for this, and I'll show you why I'm using these female spade connectors here. So I'm going to go ahead and start out by lobbing these ends off this, just like that. And on the other end, and you know, these cords are relatively cheap. Y'all probably got some older ones laying around the house. As long as they're in good condition, it's not going to matter for this kind of thing. And actually, I like doing it. Take your knife, go down the center, between here, get it started. Once you get started down the center here, you can actually pull these apart, which obviously I didn't cut it enough. There we go. All right. And if you'll notice, one side of this, I don't just know if the camera is picking up, one side's smooth, and the other side has a little ridge on it. I like to take the smooth side and use that as positive, and take the ridge and use it as negative. That way I can keep my wires straight. Come down here, may not have one big enough, but we'll manage. That should work right there. All right. Let's see, maybe a little more cut off of it. Yeah, we want it to go all the way down that barrel, so let's go ahead and do this one. All right, twist your wire up real good. Put it down in your barrel. Make sure it's all nice and snug. Now, a lot of people use the traditional rounded crimpers. I like the ones with these steps and teeth in them. I've got Kleins, I've got all kinds of them that do this. But with these, you can step it in here. When you crimp it down, it leaves a nice little crimp in there with a little tooth in it. And that tooth allows it to not come back out. These do have a stripper on them as well, but I had those other ones close by, so I just used those. Either way, it doesn't matter. The reason I just did that is this box has these little pins on it, and as you see here, it has these little spring-loaded speaker connectors on the back. Well, I want to show you in a minute. I'm going to actually attach the adapter for an M12 battery. That's how this thing's going to get its power. But in order to do that, we're going to actually go ahead and take these spades and line them up at the outside. Now we're going to come inside here, and we're just going to hook these spades up. I took this out so I'd have some room to crimp. Now nothing's coming out. I'm just going to go ahead and feed this back through. there you go. Alright, this is a pre-made box, so there's really not a lot of good places to go in. I'm just going to come right here. I think I can reach right here with a drill. And I'm going to drill it out so I can run the speaker wires from the other side over here to the head unit. That way they can get power. Alright, I had to put the camera down to drill the hole, but you get the point. I've got a starter bit that I went through there. I'm going to go a little bit bigger to have enough room for the tweeter wires and the woofer wires to go through. And don't make the hole too big if you do this, because you don't have to use tons and tons of silicone. Just a little bit on each side should be enough to seal it fine. Now, before we go any further wiring the inside of this, I have this actually Fender branded, and it was really cheap, handle to put on this. Now, the handle has some hardware. You actually have to drill through the box to put this hardware on. This is kind of very easy. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to put that down over top. We're going to put the bolt through that, and on the inside, if you'll notice, these have the little T-nut styles that bite into the wood, and that's how it's going to fasten itself. You see I've already started the process of centering it up side to side, but y'all don't make it rocket science trying to figure out where the center of your bolt goes. Okay, we wanted to figure out the furthest out the bolt goes here, find the center of the bolt where it will sit, same on the other end, and then you want to measure from there to the end of the box, and then there to the end of the box. Divide that number in two after adding them together, and that's going to give the distance it needs to be from both sides. Alright, as y'all see, I'm using a ruler that has centimeters and inches. It was actually easier for me. It's going to be 19.5 centimeters from each end. Then I'm just going to go down there and mark that spot, and we're getting ready to cut some upholstery and drill. Now, if you're wondering how to select the drill bit for this process here, and y'all will have different ways to mount things, but I want one, if y'all can see that little, I don't know what you call it, that raised up area that the bolt screws into, you'll want to find a drill bit that's the same size as that, not just your bolt. That looks about right. Alright, didn't have any real tear out. Y'all don't make fun of me with duct tape, it's what I had. And besides, this is, you know, a budget boombox. Just kind of roll with it. Getting this tape out of here because otherwise I'll have to slice and dice and try to get it out of there later. As y'all can see, I got my holes drilled out here, and I'm getting ready to fasten everything, but there's a catch to all this. There's actually going to be several pieces. So your bolt is going to have to go through this and into this, and it will go through the handle, which caps it off. See how it's starting to look like a regular handle? It'll go through here. Alright, now we'll go in through the bottom here where I open this hole up, and yeah, you can tell this is particle board because it's just chipping away in there, but I should be able to fit this in. So I have one of these T-nuts underneath the hole here. I've got it started through this, and I want to go through that hole if I can find it in this box. And I'm just going to start threading into that little T-nut. And after I start threading and it doesn't feel like it's cross-threaded, we're going to grab a screwdriver and we're going to tighten it down. Alright, we're going to take this screwdriver, start tightening it down. I may have to go get my drill driver. I have my drill in here, but that's more of what this is for, the drill driver is. And I can already feel the T-nut tighten up down there, which is what you want because it's going to bite into that wood, and that's what's going to keep your handle on. There we go, got one side done, then I'll go ahead and do the other and come back to you. Alright y'all, so oftentimes people will come closer together so they have more room to pull this handle up. I have just enough room to get my fingers on it, and that's the way I want it because eventually I'm sure over time it will stretch, and that's what I'm allotting for. Now the last thing I want to do before I go inside of it is go ahead and put the battery adapter on, and I'll show you what we got there. What we have here is actually a battery adapter for any Milwaukee M12, whether it's the real thing or a ripoff. Okay, this sure isn't made by Milwaukee. This only costs a few bucks, and if y'all notice, I actually put some wire ferrules on the end of it. Now, this is certainly optional for this job, but since I'm going into a terminal, I always like to use ferrules or ring crimps, depending on, well, banana clips, whatever the terminal type is. I like some kind of terminal. This process is going to be very simple. What we're going to do is we are going to have to probably put the camera down. I don't know. We'll figure it out if we do or don't. There we go. There's one in, and I'll press that further in once I got the camera put down. And then we're going to put the other one in, and once these two are in here and sturdy, which they are currently not, you're good to go with wiring that into the box. Okay, this is what it looks like when they're properly wired in. Yeah, it does move a little bit, but you can't pull them out. And if you see, the actual plastic housing around the ferrule is pretty well flush. That's what you want. Then all I have to do is come over here, and I'm going to mount this as low as I can get it. Hopefully the battery won't stick up above the box. So I'm just going to put 4 wood screws in the 4 corners, and that's all there is to this. No real need to show you all that. Y'all remember earlier I installed this wire? That's exactly where that goes, is the M12 adapter. Yes, I haven't screwed it on yet. But right here, y'all remember the negative and the positive? I had the rib negative and I have the smooth solid. Now, this head unit comes with a red ignition wire, and it has a yellow constant wire. Now, I could switch this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to run both of those wires over to the positive, and then I'll run the black wire to the negative. The only real power we're going to have is the actual power button on the receiver there, and unplugging the battery, which that's okay with me because I'm not always going to have the battery plugged into it. Now for these speakers, I don't necessarily have a front and rear, but I'm going to treat it like it. I'm going to put the tweeters on the fronts, and I'm going to put the mids on the rears. I went ahead and I put the speakers in. I mean, generally it's just screw them in or glue them in or whatever. I told y'all what the wires were, so y'all generally have the knowledge you need to pick it up from the last point I showed you. Now, to see if it works, we're going to need a couple things. We're going to need a phone, and we're going to need an M12 battery. And my charger was acting kind of funny, so we're going to see if it charges this thing up. Okay, so we're going to put the M12 battery in this holder. I have no idea which way this goes. I would hope that way. Good. Alright, and just a second, let me lock it down in there. Now that we have the battery hooked up, I actually flipped it over. I didn't know the bracket was reversible, but we have power. Then we're going to come around. We're going to get a cat in the video. You know how it goes. Connections, there we go. And right here, Pile USA. Gonna pair, y'all gently. Alright, y'all, I have no idea how loud this is. Let's try a song here, royalty free. Holy jeez, I didn't think that thing would rock anywhere near that hard. That's it for the Bluetooth speaker build. You know, for cheap stuff, I'm pretty impressed. Now, if you're a little bit more confident with your DIY skills, there is a kit of comparable value from Dayton Audio called the MK Boom that comes with everything you need, batteries, charger, whatever. But this is just, I wanted to put stuff together that was car stuff, and you know, because would be for car shows and stuff like that, to sit and just have a little bit of entertainment. But one thing I want to say to y'all, please be respectful when y'all are playing your music at car shows. Don't play it blasting loud, because honestly, there's YouTubers running around nowadays, right? Social media, all that stuff, and we get slammed for copyright. So just kind of be mindful if somebody's recording a show. Other than that, it's a great thing to have. Just don't turn it up that loud. I'll be honest with y'all, I edited it out. I did not know it was going to auto play music, but as soon as it connected to that phone, it started playing music, and it scared the bejesus out of me. So y'all, thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please like, comment, subscribe, all those good things for YouTube. With that, y'all make sure you're always supporting your troops, support those that are active and veterans. God bless America.